Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy Thursday, and welcome to another episode of Veganish. I am your host, Dr. Monique May, and I am a board certified family physician who you know as a physician in the kitchen. And on this show, I share with you tips, tricks, and my progress, my journey toward a more plant based diet, and I bring you along for the ride. Tonight, I am coming to you solo. For those of you who are regular watchers, you see this the screen is not split. No, it's not your computer. My trusty co-host Ellis has duties elsewhere, so I am flying solo tonight, everybody. So say a prayer for me. But this is still the same show. So you know what we do here at the top of the show. We rep our city. We rep that zip code, that country, wherever you are watching us from. Please be sure to put it in the chat. Welcome to everyone, our new viewers, our followers, our trusty followers. Thank you so much. Be sure to tag someone. We are sharing information that is extremely helpful. So if you know someone who may benefit from this, please tag them. And if you're watching this on the replay, drop in the chat hashtag replay. We really appreciate you spending some time with us. I call this the fastest 30 minutes of my day. I don't know about you guys, but this flies by, and I guess it's because I'm having so much fun. So tonight we are going to be talking about some spring foods and why it's important to eat seasonally. And also we're going to talk about foods to eat that help promote or take away from good sleep. So we've got a lot to get to. But again, if you're joining us, please go ahead and start letting us know in the chat where you are watching us from. So it's March, one of my favorite months of the year because of March Madness. I'm a huge basketball fan, and there was a little game on Saturday night. I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say that my team won and the other team didn't, and it was in Durham, North Carolina, and I'll just leave it at that. So, but yes, we are getting ready for March Madness. Can you believe this coming weekend we spring ahead? It's daylight savings time. I just feel like, where did the time go? So keep in mind, we are losing an hour this weekend. So be prepared for that. One less hour of sleep. Okay, so let's see. I've got Prattville, Alabama. My people are from Alabama. We are from Duncanville and Tuscaloosa. I don't know where Prattville is, but welcome. Portland, I guess that's Oregon or Maine? Which coast are you on? And then I see Michigan. So thank you all so much for watching. So yeah, March, we are still celebrating Women's History Month, and just a lot to look forward to. Spring will hopefully be springing where you are in the next couple of weeks. And so time to kind of get into a new season. The fourth of the year is almost gone. I mean, time is just flying by. So we're going to get into all of that. California, New Orleans. Oh my goodness. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure as we're going along to drop your questions in the chat. This show is for you. We try to answer as many of your questions in real time as we can. So please be sure to do that. Portland, Oregon. Oh, wow. I have never been there. I've been to Seattle, Washington, but I've never been to Oregon. So I may have to put that on the list. But thank you so much for watching. So tonight we are going to talk about seasonality. And I'll give you a little bit of the background as to how I came up with this topic. For those of you who may know, I am in culinary school. And it's been amazing. It's a vegan culinary school online. I have lots of delicious homework. And so this block, we're actually learning about seasonality. And what does that mean? What does it mean to eat foods in season? Well, just that. You want to get your food. You want to be aware of when foods are in season. If you see on this slide, coming up, we'll talk about what seasonal eating is, what are the benefits. There's even a website there for you, and then just give you some tips and tricks on how to eat seasonally. So this current class I'm taking right now, we are going through the seasons, and it's been so eye-opening for me because even though I'm taking the class during springtime or late winter, technically in spring, we're still getting to start to make the connections between when foods are in harvest, when they're in season, because that's when you're going to get the most flavor. You're going to get the most nutritional benefit from those foods. And it really helps when you're trying to plan meals or just try new things, right? When you're going in the grocery store and you may see some fruits and vegetables you're not familiar with or recognize, that's probably because they're in season and they're going to be cheaper too. So like I said, we'll get into all of that a little in more detail. But so seasonal eating is eating foods that are in season. And when you have things like your local farmers markets or community gardens, this is a great way to take advantage of that, because by knowing when things are in season, and I'll have a slide later that shows you kind of what tends to be in season in spring. But when you know what's in season, that's when you'll get the better prices as well, because the produce is the supply is bountiful, and so you'll find often that it's actually cheaper when you buy those things in season. So eating seasonally, again, just helps with the flavor. You have so much more variety, and it's really, you get those nutrients when foods are packed and shipped, you know, across the country, across the world. You do lose some of the nutrient value, particularly the vitamins, the minerals, not so much the carbohydrate and the protein content, but some of those water soluble vitamins or nutrients that are more sensitive to the processing and packaging and distribution of that produce. So by getting it fresh locally, you actually are getting a huge benefit from that. Not to mention that you are also reducing your carbon footprint, so it helps with the environment, and you're helping to support local farmers. You're helping to support, kind of keep those dollars in the community. So lots of reasons for that. So if anyone is here, I'm going to ask in the chat, anyone here this time of year, springtime, when you hear springtime, what are some of the foods that come to mind? What are some of the things that you like to eat this time of year, or types of fruits or vegetables that you are familiar with or that you look forward to coming into season? And what's your favorite recipe? Let's share some of those ideas. So if I could have that slide back, please. The first one. So yeah, so we've talked about what it is and the benefits. There's also this really cool website that you see there, and it says seasonalfoodguide.org. It's a really cool website. Again, I just learned about this, so I'm sharing it with you all. And you basically go to the website and you can put in your zip code, and it'll tell you what is in season where you live. And it's really neat because, again, it helps for giving you just ideas, introducing you to new things. And because you may wonder sometimes, right? If you think about, say, like a tomato, and if you eat a tomato in season versus one that's not in season, you can tell some differences, right? The texture may be off, the taste may be off. But when you get one that's just right, or an ear of corn, right, where it's crisp and juicy, all of those things, those differences are made because of the seasonality of when that fruit was harvested. Um, Someone said ambrosia. Oh my goodness, you must be kin to my mother. She loves ambrosia. Is it with the coconut and the pineapple? What do you put in your ambrosia? It's got too many things going on for me. I can't do. I can't do ambrosia. The textures, it's a lot going on. But let's see, we've got corn, tomatoes, exactly. Blueberry pie. Oh yes, definitely. Oh my goodness, blueberries are a superfood. They are so high in your antioxidants, fiber, protein. So blueberries are wonderful. There's some research being done with blueberries and the effects of cognitive decline or dementia. So blueberries have a lot of benefits. So yeah, so see, so you all are already sharing some of the seasonal foods that you have experience with. So this food guide though will share or will show you all of the things that's in season in your area. And I really encourage, if you have access to a farmer's market, to check one out. Last year, a little true story. Last year, I started selling my vegan pound cakes at my local farmers market. And it was so eye-opening because not only did I get to, sell some things and connect with the community, but every week I would buy some fresh produce. And I mean, it was just, you really can't tell a difference. You can tell a difference in the taste from what's picked right out of the ground and bought to the farmer's market versus what is in your grocery store. Because believe it or not, that produce that you see in your store, oftentimes it's traveled quite a bit of ways to get to you. So yes, it still has nutrients and it's still good for you, but you have to realize that depending on how old it is, how far it's traveled, the clock is kind of ticking on that. So if you can get it, the fresher you can get it, the better. So Bam said, I need that vegan pound cake recipe, and I will be happy to give it to you. Is actually in my new book that is coming out very soon, Doc Fix My Plate. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yes, there's actually a couple of recipes in there for pound cakes. Another request for the vegan pound cake. Oh my goodness. So yes, I will circle back to that. But so this is a food guide where, again, you can just kind of see what's local to you. And my farmers market is starting back up in May. I believe it starts back up in May. And I am super excited. This year, I'm going to be there selling my vegan Worcestershire sauce. So I am excited. It's a great way to kind of just cut out the middleman, and you get to talk to the farmer, you get to talk to the producer, and really get a feel for kind of, what's coming in season, what does he have a lot of, all that kind of stuff. So that kind of leads us into how to eat seasonally. So we've talked a little bit about that already, right? Going to farmers market, going to community gardens. There's even some subscription services, boxes now. Misfits is one where you can get produce that is still in season. Some of it may not be as pretty. That's why it's called Misfits, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's not that perfect looking bell pepper that you may see in the grocery store. So there's lots of different ways to accomplish that. And it doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to be expensive. Because remember, when you're buying things in season, they are generally going to be cheaper. And toward the end of the season, if you've got like a bumper crop and you don't want it to go bad, do things like canning it, freezing it, depending on what it is, you can freeze it. My assignment this week was to make tomato chutney, which I've never had before. I've never made it before, but I can see how that would be a great way to preserve some tomatoes. Basically, you cook it down into like a jam almost with some vinegar and some seasons, some herbs, some garlic, some ginger, and you can refrigerate it and it'll last longer. Similarly, pickling. So I've spent some time this week pickling things like cauliflower and radishes. Just a great way to, number one, prevent food wasting, right? If you've got some cauliflower left over or vegetables you've got left over, you don't want them to go bad, pickle them. And not only are they delicious, but you're repurposing it. So it's a new way to eat something that you're already familiar with. And it's also a great way to recycle like glass jars. That's kind of my big thing is those glass jars that you get when you get spaghetti sauce or condiments, whatever comes in glass. Save those jars because you can use them for all kinds of things. So what we're going to do is now talk a little bit about, if I can have the slide with the actual different fruits and vegetables. So we'll start with the fruits. So these are just some of the fruits that are in season typically in springtime. So a lot of these are, I'm sure, very familiar to you. Grapefruit, kiwi, mango. If you see avocado on there, no, that is not a typo. Avocado is actually a fruit, and because it has its seed inside. And so a lot of the things we typically think of as vegetables, typically because of the way we prepare them, but they're actually fruits. So bell pepper falls in that category. Even things like squash, because their seeds are inside. So, but this list here, you see a lot of citrus on here. Carrots, that's actually a typo. Carrots should be on the vegetable slide, but yeah, so you can see strawberries. I had to make strawberry preserves this week. We did a lot of cooking this week. And so strawberry preserves with some big, juicy, delicious strawberries. And I'm not even a real big strawberry fan, but these made me a believer. So just like that, just having something in season can really change your opinion on how it is, because you're like, oh, maybe I had one that wasn't, at its peak or just past its prime versus, a nice juicy bursting with flavor, fresh in season, fruit. So Pamela says she's finding it hard to get seeded fruits. Little kid, can you give me an example of what you mean? Yeah, the supply chain has been really thrown for a loop. I had to go to the store 2 days in a row to get ginger. They were all out yesterday. Thankfully, they got a whole batch in today. But yeah, it is hard to find some things. And again, this is another reason why, if your local store doesn't have them, finding out a farmer's market or community garden would be a great way, because maybe you can, find some things there as well. Grapes and watermelons. Oh, yeah. Well, I think watermelons come into season a little bit later. I think, they're typically summer. So that might be part of it. Grapes, I'm not sure. That's interesting. What part of the country are you in? Because that can also play a role. Grow your own ginger in a pot. Yes, I need to. I definitely need to. But yeah, so here are some of the fruits. So now, next slide, we'll look at some of the vegetables and there's a ton. Okay, so there's no reason for you to be bored in the springtime when it comes to vegetables. You literally could eat one or two of these, a week, and just rotate and have a variety and not get bored. So Pamela's in California. Oh yeah, well, you guys are paying what, $8 a gallon for gas out there, so maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know, but I hope that gets better. Hopefully not $8. I'm exaggerating, but I can only imagine if we're paying high prices, what California is doing. But so yeah, so I was just saying that she said don't mention that. They are lots of variety on here as far as your vegetables. I do want to call out, now I have not had spring garlic. I am interested. This list has me intrigued. Has anyone had spring garlic? Because I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I just thought garlic was garlic. So apparently there's a spring garlic versus, I guess, the regular garlic. Morels, that's actually a type of mushroom. So if you're looking for a meat replacement, that might be something to look at. The variety of herbs that come into season in the spring, your dill, your basil, all those kinds of soft herbs, mint, things that you spice up a salad or a dressing, definitely have just a wide array of things to choose from. Arugula, that's a great lettuce or leaf to use to make. You use it in salads. I also use it in pesto. I use it in a pesto sauce. It gives it that peppery taste. So, just a lot of different things on here that, again, just with a little bit of experimentation, you can really turn it into a really nice meal. Beets. I have to say something about beets. So I think I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating for me, because this is just how transformational beets have been for me. So again, growing up, never was really a fan, because beets are root vegetables. So they kind of had that earthy taste to them. But let me tell you, as you get older and your palate matures, recently I have made a recipe using beets as a pasta replacement, or as a mix it like a spaghetti. And with a spiralizer, with the help of my spiralizer, you can put the beets on the spiralizer, make them into spaghetti strands, and then blanch them. 5 minutes or so, 5 to 7 minutes. You want to cook them till they're al dente to you. If you want them like spaghetti, it's going to take a little longer. And then you just toss them in your favorite spaghetti sauce. You can make your own, or if you have a low sugar one that you like, and season it and serve it like that, with some lentil meatballs. It is a delicious meal. And this is a really great way to get beets on the table in under 20 minutes. If you've ever cooked beets, you know that they take a long while. They can take a while to cook because they're so fibrous. But that's just a great way to look at things a different way. If you're trying to cut back on carbs, spiralize some zucchini, spiralize some beets. It's a great way to get that same spaghetti without the carbs. So my spiralizer is now pink. Actually, no, it's stainless steel, I guess, because I have it's a attachment for my KitchenAid stand, and everything just rinsed off. But I did. You make a good point. I did use gloves because I didn't want my fingers to be stained for a week, and but no, the spiralizer is fine. So Pamela said, as I'm learning to become vegan on my journey, I never knew there were so many varieties of mushrooms. Say that again. Isn't it amazing? Um, I don't know. Have you discovered king oyster? Have you had king oyster mushrooms? I use those in my vegan butter chicken recipe because I love butter chicken. And one of the things I love at Indian restaurants is butter chicken. But there's a vegan way to make it, and you use the king oyster mushrooms because they have that kind of meaty texture or like chicken-like texture. So I highly recommend that you try that and let me know how that works for you. So this was just a list, or just wanted to kind of just plant the seed, no pun intended, on some seasonal, how to start thinking about foods in season to get the variety, the color, the taste, the freshness that you won't necessarily get when they're out of season. So, oh yes, Pamela, it is. The vegan butter chicken is in the book. Well, I'll go ahead and we'll talk about that a little bit now. I actually just got the proof. So I should have it in my hot little hands. I'm so excited to bring this, to finally get this out. But yes, but the book is called Doc Fix My Plate, The Physician in the Kitchen's Prescriptions for Your Healthy Meal Makeover. And it's got something in there for everybody. It's over 50 recipes. And it also has just really good how-to information, how to set up your vegan kitchen, or vegan pantry, how to substitute for eggs and butter and milk, how to look for foods when you have certain health concerns, lots of different information. And so I'm so happy to finally have it closer to for release. And so the website for pre-orders is docfixmyplatebook.com. So can you lose weight by becoming a vegan? Oh, certainly you can. Now, you have to go back and watch the show where we talked about different diets, because there can be some overweight and obese vegans, but because it's depending on what they're eating, because everything vegan doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy for you. There can be some processed and other types of additives, but generally speaking, vegans, if you are truly getting all of your protein from from vegan sources, then yes, you will typically be leaner. Now, you remember though, it does matter how you prepare your food, because French fries and potato chips are vegan technically, unless they're fried in oil that's animal based. But we know that that type of food preparation isn't the healthiest for you. But generally speaking, yes, if you're getting your nutrition from plant sources, you are definitely going to see an improvement in your weight. You should see an improvement in your numbers, like your blood pressure and your sugar and your cholesterol. And so working with your doctor, especially if you have any health concerns, you want to, definitely, talk to him or her about that. Maybe even see if you can go see a nutritionist who can help you if you need that. If you have, again, certain health concerns that would be directly impacted by diet. But that's a great question. So we are coming up at the bottom of the show. I did want to just talk a little bit about foods and sleep, because we mentioned earlier we're losing an hour this weekend. I'm not ready for that. I feel like that's too soon. Like, shouldn't that be like around April? But it's happening. It's happening this weekend, where we spring ahead. So when you wake up on Sunday, you will have lost an hour. Sorry to tell you that. So what can we do, though, to blunt that impact, right? We don't want to be all groggy and bleary and in church on bleary-eyed in church on Sunday, or whatever you have to do. So there are foods that actually impact the way you sleep. And this shouldn't be a big surprise as far as, sleep and what you eat. But sometimes it just bears repeating, or it's good to hear the information in a different way. So throughout the day, you can be eating foods to help with sleep, because you don't want to just wait till nighttime and say, oh, okay, what do I need to do to get ready for bed? No. Throughout the day, there are things you can be doing or not doing that will help you get ready for sleep food wise. So throughout the day, eating things like lean proteins, high fibrous foods, those help to maintain sugar levels, help to keep snacking at bay, so that you're not having crashes and will be snacking throughout the day. So those are just some tips that you can do. As far as right before bed, we definitely don't recommend eating a heavy meal or a large meal within 3 hours of going to bed. You don't want your body trying to digest and break down food while you're trying to get some sleep, particularly if you have things like heartburn or reflux and you eat certain foods and then you lay down. That's going to not be a good night of sleep for you. So, but if you feel like you are hungry and you want to do a light snack, you want to do something like some fruit, peanut butter, things that are complex, not sugary things, but things that will help keep your hunger at bay. Because if you're hungry right before bed, then that's going to affect you sleeping as well. Because remember, sleep is like basically medicine for the brain. I mean, you need a certain amount of sleep, at least 6 hours or so. A lot of us are not getting that, I know, but you want to do what you can to get the best sleep because you need that restoration. The brain kind of does a shutdown at night when you're sleeping. And so you want to be able to promote that, and you want to make sure your food is not affecting that. Hi there, Sherry. Thank you so much for watching from Brooklyn. So the other thing is drinking some tart cherry juice. And this is a new one I've come across, because cherries are rich in melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that your brain makes that helps promote sleep. There's been some studies, not a lot, so there's still some research that needs to be done. But drinking unsweetened tart cherry, say that fast, tart cherry juice has been shown to help promote sleep. So it was a small study. The people in the study drank either a cup of tart cherry juice or a placebo drink twice a day for a week. And the ones who drank the cherry juice got longer and better sleep and had higher level of melatonin than those who did not. So more research needs to be done, but hey, I mean, cherry juice does have some benefits. The study was supported by the cherry industry, so there's that. So definitely want to keep that in mind. But I have heard that is good for you for sleep. And then the things you want to avoid, of course, are caffeine, even like 6 hours before bedtime. That's something people may not realize. Some people may have prolonged sensitivity or effects of caffeine. So if you plan to go to bed at 8, maybe you should have that last cup of coffee around. I'm sorry, say if you're going to go to bed around 10, have that last cup of coffee around 2 or so, 6 to 8 hours from bedtime, because you may still be feeling the effects of that. Like when I see people going to Starbucks at like night, like however late Starbucks is open, I'm like, do they not want to sleep? Because like, when is that going to wear off? Things like spicy or greasy foods, like again, we mentioned, can aggravate reflux. So you want to be sure to avoid that. And then of course, sugar and salt. If you're eating a lot of salty things, that may make you thirsty, make you get up, want to drink more, which is going to have you go into the bathroom. So it's a whole cycle there that you want to not get into. And then even sweetened drinks, things like that can be more activating and make it difficult for you to fall asleep. So that is our show for tonight. I thank you so much for watching. If you are watching this on the replay, please drop #replay. Please feel free to share this with anyone who needs this information. Hopefully Ellis will be back next week, but I think we did okay without him. I think we held it down. And thank you all so much for your questions and your comments. As for next week, tune in, because we're going to talk about how to fight those sugar cravings, right? It's people say, oh, I'm addicted to sugar, I can't stop. So we're going to talk about what that really means, as far as, can you be addicted to sugar, and how do you stop those cravings? Because when you get on the scale, you're not as happy as if you think you're eating too much sugar. So thank you so much for watching. Oh, thank you all so much. This was fun. I enjoyed it. And so thank you for tonight. Thank you for watching tonight. And I look forward to see you all next week. Have a great weekend.